Welcome to the Mystic Access Podcast, where the magic is in learning.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the January 20th episode of the Mystic Access Podcast. She's Kim.
He's Chris.
And we've got some interesting things to talk about. No more hospital.
No more hospital, no more medical stuff. We've probably bored you guys to tears with that in the last couple episodes, but we hope not. We hope you've learned something interesting and valuable and maybe gotten some tips or tools or ideas for your own health in the last couple, but we're kind of going back to more regularly scheduled topics now.
Let's talk a little bit about reading.
It's so subjective, isn't it?
I like to read.
I like to read too.
What type of format of books do you like to read?
I like all kinds of formats of books. I like TTS. I like human narrated. Okay, I shouldn't put them in that order. I like human narrated. I like TTS. I like dramatized books. It just all depends. And I like a million different genres of books, although genres isn't necessarily what we're talking about today. We're talking specifically about formats. Now, one format I don't like, and we remember from the earlier days of you and I getting books, is abridged books. They suck.
They do.
In general.
Right.
I think you and I have an agreement that there's only one abridged book that we prefer to an unabridged book, ever.
Yeah. You know what that is? That's The Lost World.
Yep.
By Michael Crichton. I liked the unabridged version, but I also liked and enjoyed the abridged version.
Me too.
We're talking about abridged books because I read Star Wars: Heir to the Empire, abridged, a long time ago. And I remember having a face-to-face conversation with the author, Tim Zahn. And I was telling him about this one plot point in the book that wasn't in the abridged. And he goes, you know, that was a very important plot point of the entire book. I'm like, well, they cut it out. So it really just gives you an abridged version of the book. You could miss lots of things.
You could. I remember reading a Little Women abridgment when I was probably 11. So I had read the full book from Bard. I don't remember who the narrator was of the one that I initially read, but I'd read the unabridged version, and I got for Christmas maybe that year, because I was really into Louisa May Alcott, and my mom was getting me more of her stuff. But I got an abridged version of Little Women, and it was like 2 cassettes. Now, the book is, I think, like 13 hours or more, unabridged. So you can imagine. And for those who have read the book, it literally ended at the end of Act 1, and it was cut to ribbons to get what it had of Act 1 in 2 cassettes. So that part is so silly. So often you would get, like you said, 4 CDs or 2 cassettes or something, and it was supposed to be a 12-hour book or a 10-hour book or whatever, and you were getting like, you know, no more than like 4 hours or something, or 5 or 6 max on your cassettes or CDs for the abridged version.
So I remember when I was a kid, and there was a record that I got from the library. It was dealing with The Empire Strikes Back, and it was a narrated part of the movie. It was abridged. So obviously some things didn't happen, but it was really cool, all the sound effects and actors and stuff. And when they put Han Solo in Carbonite and froze him, spoiler alert, so I had to go see the movie to see if they unfroze him at the end of the movie, and I was disappointed because they didn't unfreeze him at the end of that movie. It was just kind of funny what you thought you may have missed because of an abridgment. The nice thing about the NLS books is they were all unabridged.
Yes, absolutely correct. You did not have to worry about getting an NLS title and have it be abridged. That wasn't going to be something that happened to you.
Now that audiobooks are more mainstream, which they are.
They are hugely so.
Yes. So you've got your narration by human, which is good. You've got
sometimes.
Yes. Well, really
you do get the occasional terrible narrator.
It just depends. Mm-hmm. A narrator can make or break the book.
Most definitely. In fact, there have been many times where if you had a different Bard narrator than, say, an Audible narrator, you would pick one over the other, depending on what you wanted.
Right.
If you could afford to buy the Audible version and you wanted the Audible book.
Right. So you have human narration. You also have what are called dramatized audiobooks. And there are places where you can get dramatized audiobooks. Now, what I mean by dramatized audiobooks is that you have multiple people that are recording this and they're acting it out with different voice actors and different sound effects and stuff like that. Now, I was reading this one book that I got on CD by human narration, and I also have a dramatized version of the same book. Now, there is a length discrepancy in the book. And one thing that I noticed is that in the audio dramatized version, you're not getting so-and-so walked into the office and they closed the door behind them and blah, blah, blah. What you got were footsteps in a slamming door. Obviously, you can
surmise,
right, that part of the book didn't need to be read by a human narrator. So it really just depends on how the dramatized book is put together. Mm-hmm. Now, you can have podcasts that are dramatized. I've got this one that I've been following for years. It's called We're Alive. It's a zombie apocalyptical thing. And they have the main story, and then they have subsequent stories because people just wanted more and more and more and more. Currently, they're working on one called Descendants, which are the children of the original characters in the original story. Now, the original story was long, very long. They had different episodes, and each little episode was probably about 30 minutes or so. And it was done in such a way where those aren't necessarily audio books. They're more dramatized books. There's no narrator that's narrating in these dramatizations.
Yeah, that really depends on the dramatization, whether or not you get a narrator. There's a company that you really like, and I like a lot of their stuff too, called Graphic Audio. And theirs have narrators.
Yes, they do, because those are the books. Mm-hmm. Those are the books that the publisher has had a deal with Graphic Audio, and they can then turn their book into an audio dramatization. And that's what I was actually talking about. The book earlier where the door was slamming and the person was walking into the office. That was a graphic audio adaptation of the book.
Graphic Audio used to do a lot of sci-fi and westerns. They still do lots of sci-fi and westerns, but they have extended their content tremendously recently. They're now doing more fantasy stuff, more paranormal romance, just all kinds of different things now. They're doing the Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs, which I'm real excited about. Really looking forward to getting one of those. They're doing some Shannon Mayer. They've done some of her books. So I'm talking specifically about, fantasy and paranormal stuff now. Lilith St. Crow. So you have some options now that aren't just sci-fi and westerns, although they do those very, very well as well. So they've got a whole bunch of stuff in their catalog. What's the website if people wanted to go look?
Graphicaudio.net.
You can hear samples, and you may even hear some of your favorite NLS narrators in there too.
Yes. Terrence Hazelford,
Annette Savard,
Colleen Delaney's in there. What's that one lady?
Seems like we're missing somebody.
We're missing a lot of people, actually.
Oh, Faith Potts.
Faith Potts, I was thinking about her, yes. Mm-hmm.
You will definitely find NLS narrators in Graphic Audio offerings as well. So you can definitely find some cool stuff in there, and they're always releasing new stuff. When you and I met, there was a series that you and I had both read a bit of before. I didn't turn you on to it, did I? Or was it something that we had both listened to before, back when Sirius may have been XM? In other words, before the merger.
It depends. So, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. It was either on Sonic Theater Radio or Book Radio, depending on whether or not XM had merged with Sirius, and it was either XM or Sirius XM by that point. But there was a series that we both read called Powder River.
Oh, yes, you did. You did tell me about it.
Did I tell you about it?
And they were having a steal one year for Christmas where each season, because they were broken up as seasons, each season was like $9. And I said, okay, I want to get all of these seasons. I think I got up to season 10 or season 9. And then I followed them from the rest. So
now, what company did this book?
That was Radio Theater.
So they did this, and this is a Western that follows a father-son and their little town that they live in.
I think it's not necessarily a book, but it's more of a dramatized radio series.
Yeah, radio drama.
Right. Kind of, it started to follow the format of old-time radio, where it's serialized. One episode goes into the next episode, which goes into the next episode. The first season really didn't do that, but seasons 2 through 13 did.
It's a lot more like one of the dramatized podcasts like he was talking about before. So, if you go into podcast in your favorite podcatcher and you type dramatized, or I'm trying to think what other words you could use to type in to find podcasts like this. But you can definitely find lots of podcasts that are like this. They're serialized, and they might not necessarily be based on a book, but they will follow that
Some
serialized
adventures.
format. Yeah,
Yes.
an adventure of some kind, and have the music and the actors and the sound effects and all of that to make it cool. Back in the day, when XM was still XM, before the merger, pre-merger, there was I think at the time they called it the Sonic Theater radio channel, and they had a whole bunch of dramatized content on there. Some of which I think was based on books, and some was just strict radio dramas. They had one called, I can't remember what it was called, Twisted Tales or something like that. I can't remember. Kim here with a post-production note. It was actually called Radio Tales. That's what it was renamed as. There is a Wikipedia page for it. You can find out more about it. Unfortunately, I can't find any way to download them these days, which is awful. And it was one woman who would narrate, but there were sound effects and music, custom music and stuff in the background. And she did things like, my favorite was the yellow wallpaper. So she did a version of that. It was fantastic. Sonic Tales? What the heck was it called? I can't even remember now. You could probably look up Wikipedia pages for a bunch of this stuff and find out what used to air where, because you could definitely find some very cool things that you can perhaps still get your hands on after all these years.
I know the BBC did a lot
BBC still does lots of stuff like that.
Yes, they do. I've got some Superman-related stuff that they've done, and it turned out to be pretty cool.
Tell them about one of the first presents you ever gave me.
One of the first presents I ever gave you was a graphic audiobook called the trilogy. Oh, yeah. The Dead or Alive trilogy, which was a Western. And I sent that to you because you were going through a surgical...
getting my wisdom teeth taken out.
Right. You needed some entertainment.
I needed some entertainment for sure. And it was a great series. But I was thinking even before that, you turned me on to dramatized versions of the Narnia books by C.S. Lewis.
Right. Focus on the Family.
Focus on the Family apparently did those. Mm-hmm. And they're very well done. And the first one that he introduced me to was Voyage of the Dawn Treader, which was both our favorites, ironically. And that was one of those really early days where we kind of learned that about each other. Like, ooh, isn't that interesting?
I've got a dramatized version of that through Audible that's not focused on the family. It was totally redone by somebody else. I'm not sure. But it's totally dramatized as well.
Oh, of the Narnia stuff?
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, we'll have to go through our library and find that. I'd like to see the differences.
Yep.
Because it's fun to see how one person might do something versus how another company might do it. If you go on Audible and you type dramatized, you're going to find a lot of stuff.
Or multi-voice, I think.
Oh, yeah, multi-voice.
Is another one that you can search for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's a possibility for how to find stuff. If you go on YouTube, mostly on YouTube, you're going to find either author-narrated books, which can also be really cool to hear the author read their own books, or you will find books with text-to-speech or occasionally with actual narrators, human narrators. So you're going to find a whole bunch of different things. And what they call it on Audible is virtual voice. It's TTS.
Yes.
And a lot of reviewers absolutely hate it.
They're not used to TTS, probably.
They're not used to TTS, probably. But some of it's very good and some of it's very bad. I read one recently through Audible that was virtual voice, text-to-speech. And I think the only thing that would have made it better was if it was done with a female British narrator as opposed to a female American narrated TTS voice. Otherwise, it was a great book, and I had a lot of fun with it. But I've read a lot of TTS through Audible. A lot of it's free through their Audible Plus catalog, and you can get a whole bunch of stuff that way. So that's an option.
A couple books that I read recently were autobiographies, and they were read by the author themselves, which was very cool because it made me feel like I was sitting there and the author was telling me a story.
I love that. I wanted to read Sinead O'Connor's autobiography several years ago, and it's on Bard, but it's read by Mare Trevathan, who I absolutely love as a narrator, but I wanted to read Sinead's narration of her own story. So you have to go to Audible for that. So sometimes the books that you get through Bard are not the books that you get through Audible.
I read Andrea Barber's autobiography, and I also read Jodie Sweetin's autobiography, and they were both read by the authors.
You'll find a lot of that on Audible, actually, which is very cool. It pays to look. You will find your own, as many of you already know this, you will find your own favorite narrators. And sometimes it may be a choice of, does the author read their own book? Or do I like this narrator better on this platform versus this platform? You know what? That happens a lot, actually. Going back to graphic audio for a second, you know how we were talking about the fact that they're widening their genres? You recently bought us something cool, which was an adaptation of Grady Hendrix' How to Sell a Haunted House.
Yes.
Which is more psychological horror. It's not slasher horror. It's psychological horror. And I can't wait to hear how that turns out as a book. You said they're doing mysteries now, too? Did you say you bought a mystery recently?
I did. 20 years later, it was a mystery book, and it was done really, really well.
So you will definitely find books. I remember on that, again, going back to like Sonic Theater or whatever the XM channel was called. Again, you could probably go to their Wikipedia page and see what kind of offerings they used to have. But they had like a sci-fi one called Ruby, I believe it was called. And it was great, and I loved it. And I would love to eventually be able to get my hands on that and read that from the first. Because a lot of times when you would turn on those radio dramas, you'd be in the middle of it. You'd be in the middle of a series. You wouldn't know what the heck was happening. You just start watching from where you were, and trying to keep up. So if you can get your hands on some of these, it would probably be a very cool thing. Even if you go on Google or your favorite search engine and you type like dramatized content, it's kind of amazing what you'll find. Earlier in the fall, I found a dramatized version of The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury, which I actually put on my wish list on Audible because I thought that would be so cool as a dramatized book. I have no idea who does it, but it looks really cool because they do use lots of kids, and as they should. I hate it when they put adults and kids roles for any kind of dramatized book. I just don't think it works. In this one, they use kids. Speaking of books that use kids...
Yeah, we started to read the Harry Potter dramatized books from Audible.
From Audible, we did. And while I have lots of issues with J.K. Rowling, I am really psyched about the audio dramatized versions of this book. So, went ahead, got the first one. We finally finished the first one yesterday as of the recording of this podcast. And we're pretty excited about the voice characterizations.
Yeah, if you use a pair of headphones or a decent speaker, you're going to be immersed in the sound effects. They did a fantastic job on the sound effects.
Quidditch matches are the coolest.
Yeah.
So cool. And I know things will only get cooler as the books move forward when we're doing things like Goblet of Fire. And
I can't wait for the flying car.
The flying car, which is coming up real soon. We're about to start Chamber of Secrets, which is our least favorite of the books, but that comes up in this one. And, there's so much. And you get, obviously, meet different characters along the way. And they have original music and literally have used hundreds of actors to bring this thing to life. If you listen to the credits at the end, it's like, about 15 minutes worth of credits at the end to get everybody in there for what they've done. And this is a collaboration between Audible, so it's an Audible exclusive, and Pottermore.
Right. I can't wait to see how they portray Umbridge.
I've already heard a clip.
You don't spoil it.
I won't spoil it for you, but I think you'll like her. So you will definitely find things that you like. I actually wanted to go through some of the promo material they released so that I could hear some of these voices before reading them in the dramatizations. And this is another one of those dramatizations that has narration. They have a fantastic female narrator.
Yes.
We love her. She's controversial, but we love her. We think she's fantastic.
Well, she's controversial because people are used to the Jim Dale or the Stephen Fry books, and I don't see anything wrong with the narrator.
Oh, I think she's fantastic. She's not supposed to be part of the story. She's supposed to be the one kind of sharing the story with you, and then the characters bring the story to life. And for what she does fantastic. She doesn't show the emotion that the characters does because she's not supposed to. And I think that's what a lot of people aren't really understanding about her role in this thing. So you get the entire books. It's another way to revisit and read the entire book series again, in a different way. Mm-hmm. With sound and music and kids playing kids and all that. So just something else to consider. Oh, just one thing to mention here. A lot of times when you find a book on Audible, it's not exclusively an Audible book. The Harry Potter books, the dramatizations, are a collab between Pottermore and Audible, but a lot of the books that you'll find on Audible, including a whole bunch of graphic audio stuff, by the way, is just available through Audible. It's not an Audible series, so it might be Hachette or Blackstone or somebody else.
So if you're on Bard and you see commercial audio book, you might think, well, that's the same book that's on Audible. Well, it's not an Audible book per se. The manufacturer is Hachette Audio, and Bard is allowed to use that book courtesy of the publisher, as they like to say.
We were lucky because we grew up in the world of the little golden books with cassettes.
Oh, yeah.
I remember those. At the sound of the chime, turn the page. So we got a lot of cool stuff with sound effects early on. And my mom used to buy me a bunch of that stuff because she knew I absolutely loved it. So I got, one of those every couple months and got to play with a new golden book.
Yep.
And at the time, a lot of times the actors who played whomever in the either films or whatever would be associated with those little golden books.
Yep.
Which was cool.
Yeah, they took, the actors from the films, they would actually take the films and put them in. Which makes us move on to the second topic, which is TV.
Now, what does TV have to do with books? Please, explain that segue.
It doesn't. It's entertainment.
It is entertainment, but in fact, this does have a bit to do with what we were just talking about, because one of the things that, how graphic audio has a movie in your mind as its logo?
Well, they do, yes.
They do. So, one of the things that helps a movie in your mind to be better is having some audio description on it. And for TV, that's especially good. Well, the other day, I reintroduced you to a service that you hadn't played with in years.
That would be Pluto TV.
And what happened?
So I created an account, which is actually good because you can synchronize your favorites and stuff between your different devices.
Yes. So you could have your Android phone, you could have your computer, you could have your iDevice, have all your favorites on all of them.
Right. So the first thing I did, I was looking for a movie to watch or something to watch. And I saw this one movie and I clicked it. And it started playing descriptions, audio descriptions. I did nothing of the sort to turn them on. I may have done it at one time, but it started playing audio descriptions. And she's like, out of all the channels, all the things, you happen to find one with audio descriptions.
Now, here's the really funny part of that story. If you go into the on-demand section, so it's a tab, in Pluto TV, and you scroll down heading by heading, way down towards the bottom, you will find one called Available with Audio Description, or something to that effect. There are only, as of the recording of this, 24 items on YouTube TV. I think they're all movies that contain audio description.
Yeah, which is neat.
And you found one of them. That was on
I did.
and playing.
They have Titanic. They have a bunch of different audio described movies. Now, if you're using Pluto TV and you're a swiper, it's not your friend.
No, you really need to be able to explore by touch, or at least know where your rows and columns live to find things adequately.
Right.
And accurately. Because otherwise you're going to get really confused.
So show us what it sounds like.
All right, let me show you an audio described movie, and it happens to be on right now. So
6:32 a.m. 11 notifications.
We're going to unlock the phone.
Weather gods. 7 a.m.
There's Weather Gods.
App switcher. Pluto TV. Pluto TV.
There we go.
Active.
It was being a little weird. So we're going to double tap, and it's going to come up with my movie.
Pluto TV. Pluto.
It's coming up with a commercial, so we have to wait a second. So I'm on one of the movie channels. Let's see where I am.
Video. Controls. Pluto TV horror. Image.
Pluto TV horror. So we're going to be watching Pet Sematary in a second when the commercial goes off. So still another commercial. We'll keep watching for a moment. But ultimately what you'll do is you'll find the movies category, and then you'll go in there. And it's not going to tell you it has audio description. You have to know what is audio described, or just open it up and see if audio description is on. And be lucky. Yes. Yes, you'll have to be lucky. But the other night, I was playing around with it, and I found Titanic, and something else was on when Titanic was on. It was a comedy. So sometimes you'll find a few movies on at the same time, because they really do just play a relatively small selection of stuff over and over and over again. But it's free. What do you want?
It's free TV. There's a bunch of things. We were watching Perry Mason the other day.
We were. I think there's a Perry Mason channel, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm last was.
There are hundreds of channels available. If you like some of the old classic shows, you'll find those. There's a whole section of reality shows. Oh, let's see.
Well, night, at home, Lewis walks downstairs and looks around. He walks, looks through a window, headlights cast a glow into the dark living room.
And it's very good description, as you can see. It's not one of those
Rachel,
where
holding Gage, opens the front door.
Rachel, what are you...
Thank God you're here. I was so worried.
This isn't one of those where the description suddenly monopolizes everything.
Lewis looks around.
I'm here right now. I just need you and us. Just you, me, and Gage.
It's okay. It's okay. Come on, honey. It's okay. Oh, look at you, hey? Daddy's boy. Have you gotten bigger? Hey, tell me.
Rachel looks down and notices mud on Lewis's boots and blood on his hand.
But that's pretty cool.
It is cool. We'll watch just a little more here.
What's going on?
She stares at Lewis.
I needed more time with her. Come here.
Okay, we won't spoil anything else. I'll just lock the phone. But that gives you an idea of what it's like with descriptions. And if any of you have read this book and have then watched the movie, you'll know the description actually makes it much better, because you will get to parts of it where you're going, okay. So it really does pay to have description on some of these things that makes them a little better to understand. And Pet Sematary is probably my very favorite Stephen King book of all time. So I really am glad that the movie, and I think this is in fact, I'm almost positive this is the newer movie. This is the one they just did.
Well, he talks about a cell phone, so it probably is.
Oh, I missed the cell phone reference.
Yeah, it was earlier.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, this is the newer one, because I think the older one, well, I won't spoil anything for anyone. But
they don't reference a cell phone, probably.
No, I'm sure they don't. And I think the older one did things a little differently with the plot, if you know what I mean, if anyone has watched. So, it's fun to have some options there in terms of description, even on your free options. There used to be a channel, was it TBS, that would occasionally show a movie with audio description way back in the day. We're talking mid-90s or something now. Do you remember that?
I don't know.
Honestly. I remember watching like The Reef and some other older movies with description on some channel. I want to say it was like TBS or something, or maybe TNT, way back in the day, where they would actually show them. So it's just another option to occasionally find some audio described content. And I know that this has actually improved a bit in the last couple years. Last time I remember looking at Pluto TV, they only had maybe 5 or 6, maybe 10. So now they have over twice that. So I guess maybe we're improving and getting somewhere. I don't know.
Right.
But it is another option for you if you occasionally want to check out some audio described content in addition to maybe some other free stuff that you're watching that maybe you don't feel needs audio description quite as much to enjoy.
Let's round out this podcast with, you don't want to be a couch potato, so...
Especially in the wintertime when it feels really good to be a couch potato. It's probably 20 degrees here, and with the wind chill of probably 8 or 6 or something.
Something like that.
Alexa, what's the wind chill? I want to know now. 11. Okay. It'll feel like 12. Great. So yeah, it's cold out there, and you want to make sure that your body is still getting some nice movement. So you have a fun way to do that, and we haven't talked about this in a long time.
Yeah, I recently rediscovered it, and I think I'm going to end up getting the full-blown version, and that's of Zombies Run. Now, it started out as a audio game that you would play. You're running, and you're collecting things, and you're helping this town that's surrounded by zombies. Well, they have increased this dramatically with the number of little adventures that you can go on, and they're all audio based. You don't really do anything but move. You're running or you're walking. You can do indoor walking. You can set it to track your steps. So if you have an Apple Watch, for example, you can connect that, to your phone, and instead of you carrying around your phone, which is what they suggested us to do, is put it in your pocket, it actually works by counting the steps of the phone. So it keeps track of that, and you can build up your exercise that way. It's very neat. What did you recently discover?
I recently got back into my Walk at Home app, which is an aerobic walking app. It was originally created by a lady named Leslie Sansone, who kind of originated the process back in the day. And she's retired. She isn't doing it anymore, but a bunch of her older workouts are actually on there. And then there are workouts by newer walk-at-home instructors or younger walk-at-home instructors. And it has actually improved dramatically in the last few months. And, I haven't been doing much of anything in the last few months, honestly. It's just been crazy. But got back into it, and I'm happy to see how accessible it is. There's still some little bit of accessibility issues. Nothing compared to what it was. Now, it's $70 a year, but I still feel like it's worth it because you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of workouts in there that you can play with. And they all have kind of similar moves, but they're all a little different. They all have different music, and they're fun. And they range between, maybe 12 minutes and an hour. You can have a lot of fun and lose a lot of weight actually just doing some aerobic walking, and they have some HIIT workouts as part of the aerobic walks. It's pretty great, and I'm really excited to get back into it and walk off some poundage this winter, and you can do it in the comfort of your own living room without anyone watching you. So that's nice as well for many of us. I know a lot of us don't necessarily want to be seen working out, so In his case and in my case, we both have that option as part of these workouts. What I like about yours is as you go through your workout with Zombies Run, at least with the one you were doing what about astronauts, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were training you to be an astronaut and see what kind of things astronauts will do. It's called Explore the Solar System. Whatever plan I currently have, I've only got 2 of those, episode 1 and episode 2, and the rest need to be unlocked. So I'm sure that in a lot of these, I've only got 1 or 2 episodes. I probably got the full Zombies Run because that's what I originally paid for. But in the other episodes or other stories, I only have 1 or 2 episodes. You got to unlock it. So I think I'm going to unlock the whole thing and be done with it.
But it was showing things you were collecting. Like you have collected a blah. You have collected a blah. Now what I didn't understand though was that happened the first time you did it, but the second time you did it, you didn't collect anything. What was that all about? I think
it was because I started the music after I started the workout.
That one, Zombies Run, is really big on you having something in the background to listen to because it doesn't include your own music.
You don't have to, but you can. Mm-hmm. You're going to be doing radio silence, which is not what you want.
But you could always have music on your stereo or something.
Well, you can, but who does that?
I don't know. It was just something,
you can do that. You don't have to play music at all. But basically what it is somebody is talking to you through a headset.
Right.
And you get to hear them tell you what you're doing. And then you get a text-to-speech voice. I think mine's set to Daniel. And it'll tell you what you've picked up, which is kind of neat.
Maybe one day we'll show you a little bit of that so you can see what it's all about. But it is kind of fun. And I do like the fact that you collect things as you go.
Yep.
Which is cool.
It's a game that you're playing.
It's a game that you're playing, which is neat. Makes it a little different than my straight workout app.
Right.
But it really does pay to have things that work for you, whether it's certain machines that you like to use at home or, certain playlists that you've built that you like to just dance to or walk to or whatever. So that movement piece is important. And I know we weren't going to say anything else medically, but, that's as far as we'll go into it is that piece of movement and moving your body around is important. Neither of us have worked out in, I won't even say how long, and both of us have done a little working out in the last couple of days, and we're commenting to each other just how good we felt. Just taking that time to consciously move. It was great.
Absolutely. So we're going to bring this podcast to a close, and we shall see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
The preceding podcast is a presentation of Mystic Access, where the magic is in learning. If you are blind or visually impaired and wish to experience less stress and more fun on your unique assistive technology journey, our comprehensive audio documentation and additional offerings are here to support you. We welcome your visit at mysticaccess.com. That's mysticaccess.com. Have a question or wish to place an order via phone? Call us at 716-543-3323. If you have comments to share about this episode, follow our phone menu prompts to reach our Mystic Access podcast comment line. Email us at info@mysticaccess.com and connect with us on social media, Mastodon, mysticaccess.online, and facebook.com/mysticaccessempower. Would you like to spread the word about our podcasts? Anyone may explore our extensive archives and subscribe to receive our bi-weekly episodes at mysticaccesspodcast.com. If you enjoy our content, please consider rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for spreading the word and for being a listener. We hope you enjoyed this episode.